In a bold move that could reshape the landscape of American football, President Donald Trump recently announced that Washington, D.C. will host the 2027 NFL Draft. This announcement, made on May 5, 2025, comes as part of a broader strategy to revitalize the nation's capital and establish it as a premier sports destination. The decision marks a significant milestone for both the NFL and the city, which has not hosted the draft since the early 2000s. The president's announcement coincided with an interview on NBC's Meet the Press, where he discussed various topics including the economy, immigration, and his vision for the future. Trump expressed confidence in the nation's economic turnaround, attributing recent job gains and declining gas prices to his administration's policies. He stated, "We're doing great on illegal immigration. We're going to be at a point very soon where we're making money every day." Critics of the administration, however, question the sustainability of this economic growth, particularly as the Federal Reserve considers its next moves regarding interest rates. Trump emphasized that his administration's tariffs on Chinese goods are designed to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., responding to concerns about rising consumer prices. "We don't have to waste money on a trade deficit with China for things we don't need," he asserted, acknowledging that while some prices may rise due to tariffs, the overall economic strategy is sound. Trump's remarks also touched on immigration policy, where he reiterated his commitment to securing the border and expediting deportations of individuals he deems a threat to national safety. "We have murderers, 11,888 murderers. Many of them murdered more than one person," he claimed, emphasizing the need for strict immigration enforcement. The president's focus on sports, particularly with the upcoming NFL Draft in D.C., aligns with his objectives to galvanize local economies and promote national pride through major events. The NFL Draft is not just a sporting event, it represents a significant economic opportunity for host cities, drawing thousands of visitors and generating substantial revenue. In the context of the NFL Draft, Trump's decision could be seen as a strategic play to bolster his re-election campaign by appealing to a demographic that values sports and entertainment. The choice of D.C., a city that has faced its share of economic challenges, could serve to unite fans and locals alike. As the nation looks ahead to the draft, the implications of Trump's policies on both the economy and public sentiment will continue to unfold. The president's bold assertions during his interviews suggest that he feels confident in his administration's direction, but as many observers note, the true test will come as midterm elections approach and economic realities set in. Whether or not the NFL Draft in D.C. can symbolize a broader resurgence in American pride and economic stability remains to be seen, but the event is sure to attract significant attention and support from fans across the country. In an unprecedented blend of pop culture and politics, former President Donald Trump recently shared an AI-generated image depicting himself dressed as the Pope on his social media platform Truth Social. This image, which features Trump in traditional papal vestments seated in an ornate chair, has drawn both laughter and criticism as it coincides with significant events in the Catholic Church following the death of Pope Francis. The Pope's passing on April 21, 2025 due to a stroke and subsequent heart failure has left the Vatican preparing for a papal conclave to select his successor, set to begin on May 7. Trump's playful comment about wanting to be Pope, a statement made just days before sharing the image, has been met with mixed reactions. "I'd like to be Pope. That would be my number one choice," he remarked to reporters outside the White House, adding that he had no specific preferences for the papal role aside from mentioning Timothy Cardinal Dolan of New York as a notable candidate. Despite Trump's jest, the use of an AI-generated image of this nature has sparked backlash from several quarters, particularly from Catholic leaders and commentators who found it disrespectful during a time of mourning for the Church. Timothy Cardinal Dolan himself expressed concern over the AI-generated image, stating, "I hope he didn't have anything to do with it," highlighting the tension surrounding the president's playful engagement with such a serious topic. The New York State Catholic Conference echoed this sentiment, issuing a statement condemning the image as inappropriate and disrespectful to the solemnity of the papal election process. While some supporters defended Trump's post as a harmless joke, others took to social media to express their outrage. Critics including former Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Steele characterized the image as emblematic of Trump's unseriousness regarding significant matters. The juxtaposition of humor with a sacred institution has ignited debates about the boundaries of political satire and respect for religious traditions. This incident is not the first of its kind for the Trump administration. Earlier this year, the White House shared another AI-generated image of the former president adorned with a crown, further demonstrating a pattern of using digital imagery to blend political messaging with humor. As the Vatican gears up for what promises to be a historic conclave with no clear frontrunner, the implications of Trump's AI-generated image may extend beyond mere social media banter. The convergence of politics and religion, particularly in the context of the U.S. and the Catholic Church, remains a complex terrain, especially as Trump continues to navigate his relationship with faith communities. Moving forward, observers will be keen to see how Trump's actions resonate within both political and religious spheres, particularly as the discourse surrounding the papal election unfolds. With the world watching, the intersection of technology, humor, and faith may continue to provoke discussions that reflect broader societal tensions and the evolving landscape of political engagement. As the Vatican prepares for the conclave, the impact of Trump's digital antics may serve as a reminder of the ever-blurring lines between political satire and serious discourse in contemporary society. In a wide-ranging interview on NBC's Meet the Press, President Donald Trump reflected on the first 100 days of his second term, addressing key issues such as the economy, immigration, foreign relations, and his political future. As Trump spoke to moderator Kristen Welker, he asserted his confidence in the measures his administration has taken thus far, framing his presidency as a pivotal moment in restoring America's standing both at home and abroad. Kicking off the conversation, Welker noted that Trump had signed over 140 executive orders during his initial months in office, and she asked him about his primary goals for the next 100 days. Trump responded enthusiastically, claiming, "We're going to see a lot of results. We have the best border in the history of our country." He emphasized his administration's focus on immigration reform, reiterating his belief that the previous administration's policies had allowed dangerous criminals into the U.S. and vowing to continue his efforts to deport them. When the discussion shifted to the economy, Trump acknowledged mixed economic indicators, including a recent contraction in GDP, yet he maintained that aspects of the economy were improving under his leadership. "I was able to get down the costs," he stated, attributing this to his administration's tough stance on trade, particularly with China. He highlighted his administration's imposition of tariffs, which he argued would ultimately benefit American workers, despite some analysts warning of potential drawbacks such as rising consumer prices. Welker pressed Trump on whether he was only taking credit for positive economic numbers while blaming any negatives on the previous administration. Trump countered, insisting that he was overcoming the challenges left by President Biden, whom he accused of enacting detrimental policies. He claimed Biden gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country, while asserting that he was working to reverse the economic damage. The conversation also touched on Trump's foreign policy, particularly his dealings with China and the ongoing situation in Ukraine. When asked about the possibility of dropping tariffs to facilitate negotiations with China, Trump was adamant, stating, "Why would I do that?" He expressed confidence that China's economy was faltering and that they were eager to negotiate a deal. Trump emphasized this approach as part of a broader strategy to protect American interests. As the interview progressed, Trump hinted at his aspirations beyond the current term, asserting, "I will be a two-term president." Although he dismissed speculation about a third term, he acknowledged the enthusiasm surrounding his potential candidacy for 2028, noting that many supporters were urging him to consider it. "There are many people selling the 2028 hat," he remarked, framing it as a compliment to his administration's performance. The dialogue also included a contentious exchange regarding the role of the judiciary in immigration matters. Trump lamented what he described as activist judges thwarting his efforts to enforce immigration laws and secure the border. He argued that his administration was committed to ensuring the safety of American citizens and criticized the legal system for its perceived leniency toward illegal immigrants. Trump's interview concluded with a reflection on his administration's achievements and future ambitions. He expressed optimism about upcoming legislative efforts, including significant tax cuts intended to bolster the middle class, while facing opposition from Democrats whom he accused of prioritizing political gain over the nation's well-being. "I think we're going to have a great 100 days ahead," he asserted, projecting confidence in his administration's direction as the political landscape continues to evolve. Trump's remarks underscore his commitment to a robust agenda aimed at reshaping America's economy and asserting its dominance on the global stage. With midterm elections on the horizon, the implications of his policies and promises will be closely scrutinized, setting the stage for what could be a defining period in his presidency. As the global economy grapples with the repercussions of former President Donald Trump's trade policies, the ramifications of his tariffs are becoming increasingly evident. Recent reports indicate that these tariffs are not only causing friction in international trade but are also stunting economic growth in the United States and abroad. As economists and analysts sift through the data, a clear narrative is emerging. The fallout from Trump's tariffs is being felt across various sectors, raising questions about the current economic landscape. According to a report by Reuters, businesses are already feeling the weight of elevated tariffs imposed on a range of goods. The increased costs are forcing companies to either absorb the expense, which can erode profit margins, or pass them on to consumers, potentially leading to higher inflation. The ripple effects of these tariffs are particularly pronounced in industries reliant on imported materials such as manufacturing and construction. The tariffs have created uncertainty that businesses simply cannot ignore, said economist Sarah Johnson. Companies are hesitant to invest when they are unsure of future costs and market conditions. Simultaneously, Axios highlights how Trump in his latest public statements has continued to play the blame game, attributing the economic challenges to the current administration and external factors rather than taking responsibility for the policies implemented during his presidency. This rhetoric complicates the narrative, as many Americans are left to ponder whose policies are truly at the helm of the current economic situation. As one business owner noted, it's hard to know who to hold accountable when both sides seem to be pointing fingers. The reality is that consumers are the ones caught in the middle. Amidst this economic uncertainty, The Atlantic's Annie Lowrey captures the pervasive anxiety many feel about the future. She describes a climate where households are cautiously adapting their spending habits, reminiscent of the early days of the pandemic. Even when the numbers suggest stability, there's a palpable sense of dread, Lowrey explains. As people adjust their purchasing behavior, buying less or opting for more durable goods, there is a growing sentiment that a recession, often referred to as the Trumpcession, may be looming just around the corner. The recent polling data shared by Newsweek further illustrates this divide in public perception, with many Americans weighing the economic impacts of both the Trump and Biden administrations. The juxtaposition of economic indicators from both eras has left citizens confused and divided, with some attributing the current inflationary pressures and supply chain disruptions to Trump's tariffs, while others point to ongoing global challenges that have persisted beyond his term. As the situation unfolds, it's clear that the implications of Trump's trade policies will be felt for years to come. Businesses are bracing for continued volatility, and consumers are adjusting their expectations and spending in response to a landscape that remains uncertain. Looking ahead, the interplay between policy, economic recovery, and global relations will be crucial in determining how quickly the economy can rebound. As the world watches closely, the coming months will be pivotal in revealing whether the economic scars from the past administration can heal, or if they will deepen, leading to a prolonged period of economic struggle. In a time of unprecedented geopolitical tensions and domestic policy shifts, the U.S. is poised for significant developments in both international defense and federal budget adjustments. As the war in Ukraine escalates, the Biden administration's efforts to bolster Ukraine's air defenses are meeting new challenges and opportunities, while President Trump's recently unveiled budget proposal signals a drastic reallocation of federal spending priorities aimed at cutting domestic programs. Recent reports indicate that Ukraine will soon receive an additional Patriot air defense system previously stationed in Israel as part of ongoing support from the United States and its allies. This transfer, reported by multiple U.S. officials, comes amid a backdrop of intensified Russian attacks, including a deadly missile strike on Kyiv, which has prompted urgent calls for increased military assistance. The Pentagon confirmed that the U.S. is committed to supplying Ukraine with critical defense equipment, stating, "We continue to provide equipment to Ukraine from previously authorized packages." The decision to send another Patriot system reflects a growing consensus among Western allies regarding the need to fortify Ukraine's air defenses. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has long advocated for more advanced weaponry, emphasizing the system's importance in safeguarding civilian areas from Russian aggression. The Patriot missile systems, renowned for their effectiveness in intercepting incoming threats, are seen as vital to Ukraine's defense strategy, particularly as Russia intensifies its aerial assault. While Zelensky has expressed gratitude for U.S. support, he has also underscored the urgency of the situation, stating, "We are really waiting for supplies." The delivery of the refurbished system from Israel is expected by summer, potentially increasing Ukraine's operational capabilities significantly. This development comes as Zelensky and Trump were seen engaging in discussions that may hint at a renewed partnership despite the complexities of their earlier interactions. On the domestic front, President Trump's administration is embarking on a controversial budgetary overhaul that proposes significant cuts to non-defense spending by as much as $163 billion. The budget request aims to eliminate over 60 government programs, many of which have enjoyed bipartisan support for years, including the Community Services Block Grants and the National Endowment for Democracy. The proposed budget seeks to shift fiscal responsibility from the federal level back to state and local governments, with White House Budget Director Russ Vought asserting, "The federal government has intruded on matters best left to American families." Trump's budgetary priorities align with a significant increase in defense funding, seeking to maintain a robust military posture amid global tensions. The proposal includes a flat defense budget of $893 billion, with expectations that a forthcoming reconciliation package will push it above $1 trillion. This push for increased military spending comes against a backdrop of ongoing challenges, including strained relations with China and heightened security concerns in Europe. However, reactions to the budget have varied widely within Congress. While some Republican lawmakers express support for the proposed cuts, others, including Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Roger Wicker, have voiced strong objections, arguing that the current funding levels do not adequately address the security threats facing the United States. Wicker stated, "We face an axis of aggressors led by the Chinese Communist Party. We need a real peace through strength agenda." As discussions surrounding the budget unfold, they will likely play a critical role in shaping the political landscape in Washington. The proposed cuts, particularly to programs that support vulnerable populations, have drawn sharp criticism from Democrats who argue that such moves undermine critical social services. Senate Appropriations Committee Ranking Member Patty Murray stated Trump wants to rip away funding to safeguard Americans' health. "This president wants to turn our country's back on tribes and let trash pile up at our national parks." The upcoming months will serve as a battleground for these competing priorities, with Congress facing a September deadline to pass funding bills. Any failure to reach an agreement could lead to a partial government shutdown. The implications of these budgetary decisions extend beyond mere numbers. They reflect a broader ideological struggle over the role of government in American life and the nation's commitment to international alliances and security. As the U.S. navigates these complex issues, the intersection of domestic policy and international relations will undoubtedly shape the course of the nation's future. The administration's actions regarding Ukraine's defense capabilities and its ambitious budget proposal will be closely watched as they unfold, potentially setting the stage for significant political and military developments in the months ahead. As the geopolitical landscape continues to shift under the weight of ongoing conflicts, the intersection of diplomacy and domestic politics is becoming increasingly pronounced in the United States. Recently, two significant developments in U.S. foreign policy, one linked to the ongoing war in Ukraine and the other to Trump administration dynamics, raise critical questions about national security and international relations. The Russo-Ukrainian War has been a focal point of global conflict since it escalated in 2022, and its implications are far-reaching. In a recent discussion on War on the Rocks, analysts Michael Kaufman and Dara Massacat explored how the Trump administration's ambitious diplomatic efforts are being challenged by the complexities of the war. They emphasized that strategic calculations, political dynamics, and military conditions are shaping the possibilities for peace. The pressures and intentions of various stakeholders will continue to redefine pathways toward ending the war, said Kaufman, illustrating the intricate web of factors that complicate diplomatic efforts amid ongoing hostilities. As Trump grapples with foreign relations, his administration's reliance on Marco Rubio as a key advisor demonstrates a shift in strategy. Rubio, who has recently been appointed to lead the National Security Council while retaining his role as Secretary of State, is rapidly solidifying his influence within the administration. Historically, only Henry Kissinger has held both positions simultaneously, and the dual role raises concerns about the concentration of power in one individual. This arrangement, reminiscent of a tumultuous period during Nixon's presidency, begs the question: can Rubio navigate the complexities of U.S. foreign policy while managing the demands of both roles? Rubio's ascent reflects Trump's preference for a tight circle of trusted advisors who are increasingly tasked with overlapping responsibilities. His recent actions, such as criticizing Germany's classification of a far-right political party, signal a willingness to align closely with Trump's controversial stances. This alignment may resonate well within Trump's core base, but also highlights the tension between traditional diplomatic practices and the administration's populist approach. This president inherited 30 years of foreign policy that was built around what was good for the world, Rubio stated recently, emphasizing a shift toward prioritizing U.S. interests. Alongside these developments, the influence of billionaires surrounding Trump has become a topic of scrutiny. Critics argue that the intertwining of wealth and politics in the Trump administration has fostered an environment where policy decisions may favor affluent donors over broader American interests. Notable figures like Elon Musk and Miriam Adelson have played significant roles in shaping policy, raising ethical concerns about potential conflicts of interest. As Trump prepares for upcoming diplomatic engagements in the Middle East, the timing of his son Eric's business ventures in the region raises further questions about the integrity of U.S. foreign policy. The blending of personal business interests with official duties is a controversial practice that could have implications for the nation's diplomatic relationships. The dual narratives of evolving foreign policy under a Trump-led administration and the ongoing challenges presented by the war in Ukraine reveal a complex interplay of domestic and international forces. As the situation unfolds, the effectiveness of U.S. diplomacy in navigating such challenges will be crucial. The decisions made in the coming months may not only redefine America's position on the global stage but also set a precedent for how future administrations approach the intricate balance of power, influence, and ethics in governance. As we look ahead, the continued intersection of personal interests and national policy, along with the outcomes of ongoing conflicts like the war in Ukraine, will undoubtedly shape the political landscape. Whether Trump and his administration can successfully reconcile these competing demands remains to be seen, but the implications for U.S. foreign policy could be profound. The coming months will be critical in determining how these dynamics play out and what they mean for the future of American diplomacy.